What's what's up, people? I'm back for another video. I'm doing two today. I'm doing this one now, and then on later tonight, I'm doing it's gonna be more of a rant video. Anyway, it's gonna be more of a rant video, just because these motherfuckers are still fucking having a fucking bitch fest about Mel Gibson, and I kind of just tired of it. So I'll be talking about that a little bit later. But right now, continuing my series, and I promise next week it will be on Monday, or I will gonna do it on Monday. I know these haven't been on Mondays, but I will gonna do it on Monday next week. But I am listing my favorite movies from 1981. We're doing 5. Granted, I have a couple like honorable mentions, but I just figured I wanted to kind of stick to 5. It's not going to be 5 every time. There will be some years where I could probably do more than 5. But I just figured we'll stick to 5 with 81. 81 was a really good year, especially for horror. I mean, like, granted, I already spoiled my number 1, Halloween 2. You have Friday Part 2, which is on the list. But it's just a lot of good horror, but just an all-around just good year. And so I figured, why not list them? So, runner-up number 1 is American Werewolf in London. The reason I don't have this on the list, I have to read. Some of these are ones I have to rewatch, so I don't fully remember every scene, and I figured if I'm going to put them on the list, I got to know the movie. You know what I mean? To where I can, like, at least name stuff. So, this one, though, is one of the greatest, probably the best werewolf movie. Like, when I think werewolf movies, it is this one. One of the greatest transformation scenes. I thought the characters were fun. I thought it had solid horror. It's one of the best. It's my favorite werewolf movie. Like, when I think werewolf movie, it is that one. I understand you have the original Wolfman movie, and I love that movie, but for me, it is American Werewolf in London. Like, that is like the perfect, at the time, modernized werewolf. And another werewolf movie I'm gonna mention, The Howling, which came out this same year. One of those movies, I'll admit, it's Scream that got me to watch it, because Randy's line about the howling when someone was asking about it. So I watched that movie, and man, it's another really good werewolf movie. Very good transformation. The reason I was actually going to originally have this on the list, but I need to watch these again, and I probably will at some point. Maybe when we get closer to Halloween, I'll review these, because I feel like these are like, when you think Silver Bullet is gonna be another one I might do too. But these two are like when I think werewolf films are the two I think of. Another one, and this one's more of an underrated one. A lot of people don't know about. It's called The Burning, which it does look like a Friday. It is basically a Friday the 13th ripoff. It very much is. Even down to like guy killing people in woods. This kind of hulking guy. Granted, Jason just debuted this year, but kind of similar, like, prank gone wrong on account. I think it was a counselor or someone who worked at the camp, and he ended up getting burnt, and hence the title, The Burning. Comes back with garden shears and kills people. Fun little horror movie. Not like the character. It's not a good character film. It's very much like Friday the 13th in that you're not going to give a fuck about the characters. You're more just watching for the kills. But I thought it was decent. Had solid music, and I remember being shocked when I watched it because I heard about it. I thought I was going to hate it. I thought, like, oh, this is probably going to be a really bad Friday the 13th. It's not. It's actually pretty decently done. So, definitely check it out. But now, we'll get started on my list. But before that, tomorrow, we will do the last of the Taken. I'm not calling it a trilogy, because Taken to me is one movie, but the so-called Taken trilogy. I don't think I'm going to like that one. I'm actually shocked the response of my Taken 2 review. How, like, I didn't expect that many people to watch it. So there must have been that many people that did not like it either. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to like. I'll be fair going in with Taken 3. I don't think it'll be good, though, I guess. Like the first one, Taken did not need a sequel. It really didn't. It's a one-off movie. So, and I did not like the sequel. So we'll see. I feel like I'm going to despise this one, but we'll see. But, yeah. Other than that, later tonight, Mel Gibson rant. Not on Mel Gibson himself, but on the the fucking whiners about him. So let's get started. So number 5 is the original Evil Dead. This is one, I'll admit it probably wouldn't have been on my list a couple years ago, but watching it a couple years ago. 2 is my favorite of the trilogy, but the first one is probably objectively the best one. Has the best characters. I love Ash's development. Yeah, he's not the Ash we know. You know, he doesn't have a chainsaw hand. He's not dropping puns and all that, but it's still, I love the horror in it. Because it was new at the time. Because up until this point, it was slashers, right? Because you just had Halloween 2, which is also on this list. You know, came out the same year. You had Friday the 13th, Part 2. It was very much the slashers were kind of starting to come in at this point. So it was interesting to have something different that wasn't a slasher. You know, it was basically demons. And it was something different. And you know, because you watched it came out the same year as Friday the 13th. Yeah, you would think it would be like, oh, it's in the woods, in this cabin. But no, it's the scene with the tree is one of the gnarliest scenes, man. And just all around good acting. Like one of those few horror films where I can actually say genuinely good acting. Like really, really good performances. And I love the story because not just because it's good horror, but when you think about it, you have Ash who has to come to the realization he killed all his friends and his girlfriend Cheryl that he loved, and you know, and his sister. You know, one of those things. It's one of the greatest horror movies. So definitely, Evil Dead 1. The scene where they just read the fucking incantation in the book is it's such a great scene in general. So all around, I had to put this on my list. So definitely top 5. Number 4 is Friday the 13th Part 2. I think, to me, one of my favorite, it's not my favorite Friday the 13th sequel. For me, that's Part 6. It's between Part 6 and Part 4, but Part 2 is really good. Not just because this is the introduction of Jason. I'll admit, Jason as the killer, I'll admit I'm not a big fan of in rewatches. He's kind of bumbling. He trips over shit. He's not as scary. And like the sack looks weird. But it's the debut of Jason. I love the opening where he goes to Alice's house and he kills her. You know, it's a perfect continuation. I love the music in it. I think this one had better characters, had better pacing. It's just an all-around better movie. You had a better lead in Ginny than Alice, who in my opinion sucked from the last movie. But I just think all around it's just better movie. I love the kills in it. Jason's pretty, even though like, yeah, he's a bit bumbling, especially towards the end. There are some really good kills. Like when he kills the kid in the wheelchair, or when he kills the couple in the bed. And then, you know, one of the only Friday the 13th film where you actually see is Shaq. Because I don't think they ever mentioned that shit again in any of the later movies. So, but yeah, I had to put this one on there. I mean, this one's iconic. I even think the final act's a bit better. But yeah, just all around, the original, it continued the lore perfectly. And yeah. Yeah, Friday the 13th Part 2 was a solid entry in the franchise. So I, of course, had to put that one on the list. Okay, now top 3. I'm going to try to go a bit longer because I went through 3 and 4 pretty quick. 5 and 4 pretty quick. So number 3 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. To me, this was always my favorite Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is an interesting one because I love the movies, but it was never like, it's like, there are like a lot of people, like how I love Jurassic Park, is how a lot of people see Indiana Jones. It never was that for me. I love those movies, but it was never like, sorry about that. But it was never like that franchise for me, but I always loved the movies. But of the 3, Raiders was the simplicity of it. You know, he has to get this relic to stop the Nazis. You get the iconic ball, with the boulder. It's the most adventurous. I think it had the best music. I actually think it had the best tone too. I love it had a serious tone, but you also had that comedy bit. I love the 30s setting. The villains were great. I don't know. I just the simplicity of Raiders was always the greatest thing about. That's the thing you'll know about me for the most part. I love simplicity. There are times where I could pick a sequel over a first, but sometimes in this case, I just think the simplicity. It's just a great adventure film. Harrison Ford was like at his best in this movie. I loved Marion was a fun character. Um, it was just it was new, we haven't seen a movie of this caliber, the whole adventure thing, but they made it legit, and the music was great. I mean, obviously it's directed by Spielberg and George Lucas, so it's like two of some of the greatest directors ever made at this time. Yeah. I understand, like, there are some who love Temple of Doom, who love Last Crusade. I love Last Crusade too, especially with Sean Connery, with James Bond. But just Raiders, of the three, that was the one as a kid I definitely watched the most was Raiders. That boulder scene, man. The boulder chase, or not even just the boulder chase, when he's in the temple in general, I always love that sequence. You had fun bad guys, the sets were fun. It was just, it was something new. Like, so yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course, is gonna be on my list. I'll make sure to, I'll mention the other three. Maybe even if they're not necessarily on my in the list itself, they'll be runner-ups pending on, I gotta look at the year they came out, but yeah, but this one was always my favorite of the three. I'm eventually gonna review this one on its own review and do the others. Maybe when I'm not gonna review the movie, but when that shitty new one comes out, maybe to just match with. I'm not gonna review it. I will say this now. I am not reviewing it. I just don't think there's anything in there even for me to meme. When at least the Barbie movie, there's something there. I'm like, oh, I can maybe meme this. So that's why I'm doing it. Same with the Little Mermaid. I just think with the new Indiana Jones, there's nothing there. I'm just like, I'm just gonna skip this. So, but around that time, I will review the original three, and I can't wait because original Raiders of the Lost Ark is awesome. I love that movie. So that is my number 3. My number 2 is Escape from New York. This movie, if Carpenter did not do Halloween or The Thing, this would be the runner-up because this film is so good. I love the aesthetic of it, the whole story of what happened. Basically, it got so bad that New York got walled off basically and became a fucking its own zone. And not just the movie itself is really good, and not just has a really good cast. You have Donald, basically a lot of Halloween alumni because John Carpenter. The soundtrack is so fucking awesome. The aesthetic of the movie, when they just show you the shot of New York when it's all just destroyed. You just see these destroyed buildings. The sky's all black. I think Carpenter really does a good job with the set design. He really put the work in. They really made it post-apocalyptic. I love that opening scene when you see the president get kidnapped is pretty intense. And Isaac Hayes as the villain is great. That's why I did a video about this a while ago when they announced a reboot or whatever. I'm like, you're not gonna capture that. Just this movie was of that time because New York in 1981 was pretty much a shit. I'm not gonna say a shithole, but it was a lot of crime at that time. So the movie almost highlights that in a perfect way. I think they really capture it. And just Snake Plissken, such a cool character. His entrance, call me Snake. It just Kurt Russell kills it. You have Tom Atkins. You have a just great cast all around, dude. Just all around. And it's And it's just a fun. It's the way they are able to have like it's an action flick, but there is a horror scene, horror-ish scene when he gets attacked by the. They're not zombies, but they might as well be those like really crazy people in the sewer. They might as well be zombies. Like that scene was kind of that horror moments, and the ending is fun. I love the escape scene. The Adrian Bardo looks. Mm. Anyway, but like it's just an awesome flick. I really think Carpenter really showcased his talents, and I even like the sequel, which I might put on the list because that one's '96, so it's gonna be a while till we get to that one. But yeah, they really did. I think everyone did their job in this one. This is one of those movies where I definitely recommend it. It's action, but it does have a little bit of horror. No, I'm not. I was gonna say a little sci-fi, but not really, because there's some tech. But like they really. It is one of those movies too. I like that they don't give you a big exposition. You get that little thing in the beginning, that little the writing, but then they show you it you kind of get that this place is fucked. And that's why I love this movie. Carpenter's other this is one of his other masterpieces. One of my favorite reviews I've done. So definitely had to put this one on my list. I remember watching this one I actually watched this one as a kid. I had always known what Snake looked like, the fucking, and he had the eye patch, the gun, the way Kurt Russell played it. Just he was fucking cool, man. It's just like, but number one, it shouldn't be a surprise. Y'all know me, big Halloween fan. Halloween 2. To me, this is I call it Halloween 1 Part 2 because it's really a continuation. Yeah, the mask looks different. There's certain things that do look a little different, but they really do a good job of the continuation. I understand Carpenter's not a big fan of this movie because he didn't even want to make this movie. But the fact that he didn't want to make it and he still made a masterpiece, in my opinion, is crazy to me. I love the score in this. I love that. Okay, well, they understand. Okay, we did it. The first one was a bit, they held back a bit on the violence, but they did the violence, but it still had like a story to tell. Like it wasn't just a gore fest. Like I really think they did a good job. Like I love the difference in Michael. This Michael specifically. Like in the first one, even though they do hammer home, he's not really like a human. This one really personifies it because now that he's straight up a robot. The way he moves in this movie is creepy. Like just the scenes of him. When you look on the screen, you just see him walking down the hall with like the the black and white because it's 1981. It technically supposed to be 78, but they really love that. The music, I love it. There are moments it is a little slow in the middle, but I think they still do a good. Laurie, I'll admit, if I had to say one, I guess kind of criticism is Laurie in this is kind of in and out of the movie, but I understand she's supposed to be like in a coma. So I kind of get why, but I get it. The criticism a little bit of like, she could have had a bit more of a role. But I was fine with it in the sense of Dr. Loomis. We got more Loomis. And I really love that his point gets proven almost in this one. Michael he's not even human arguably in this one. He takes getting shot 6-7 times and then just gets up and then goes to the hospital. Kills somebody in there. I love that scene too. I love the horror in general. I also just think this movie really does Michael's lore well. Like you see it. Like the first one, you kind of get a taste of it with the scene when he kills Bob, right? He lifts him and stabs him and he leaves him there. So you can tell he is somewhat supernatural. This one, you kind of get it. Like when he stabs the nurse lady with the scalpel and he just lifts her with one arm, that's a crazy shot. And there's just so many good shots of just Michael, like in the scene where I think it's, dude who plays Alex Rogan from Last Starfighter. I can't think of his name at the moment in the movie, but he was talking to the nurse, and you just see Michael in the background of with the sheet over him. You just see the shadow. Like there's just good shots like that. The music, I just love the music. I love everything about this movie. I just think this is how you do it. This is probably my ideal horror sequel. And this, if you want, could work as the ending. Michael gets blown up. I love the final act. The chase is fun. The Michael bleeding from his eyes because Laurie shoots him out. The chase between Michael and Laurie in the end is great. Just like I said, there's just so many good shots. Like the shot of Michael when he's about to like get Laurie before she gets in the elevator. Michael's in this like red lighting. It just looks so good. It is like Michael is straight up creepy in this. I also actually like the sheriff that takes because Sheriff Brackett goes to his daughter. I don't like that he blames Loomis. He goes like Loomis warned you in the last one, but that the sheriff that kind of takes over. I thought he was a cool little character that you see for a little bit, and then the way it ends is Halloween 2 is a classic. I understand some don't like it because it makes the whole Michael and Laurie's sister thing, but I'm sorry. I think this is a perfect sequel. I just think this is when I think horror sequel. This is how you do it. So that is my list from 1981. 82 is gonna be interesting because definitely Rambo 2 is gonna be on Rambo. Sorry, not Rambo 2. Rambo, the first one, or the First Blood. That's gonna be on there. Definitely Rocky 3. So there's a couple like I'm already thinking right now. Halloween 3 might be on there because that was 82 also. So 82 could be an interesting one. So that'll be next week. I'll try to actually do that on Monday. Or if not, I might even do it on Sunday. We'll see. I'll see how I'm feeling. For Sunday, though, I'm going to review either. I got to figure out what day I'm seeing it. But Evil Dead Rise, I'm definitely going to see at some point this weekend. And I will be reviewing that. If I can review it early enough, I might do the list on Sunday instead of Monday. And then maybe I'll do something else on Monday. But other than that was my 5 favorite movies, along with some runner-ups of 1981. But later tonight, Mel Gibson video. And that's about it. Cheers, and I'll talk to y'all later. Fucking hell. Sorry, guys. I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Fuck Joe Biden.